Hi, my name is Laurie Rasmussen. This week we are focusing on modern fantasy. My presentation is going to be on one of my favorite books that I read as a child that fits in the modern fantasy category. The book I'm going to talk about is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It was written by Roald Dahl and illustrations by Joseph Schindelman. It was published in 1964 by Alfred Knopf. Now, as many of you may know, the book was actually made into a movie starring Gene Wilder in 1971. Gene was handpicked because of his real-life resemblance to the character of Willy Wonka. The book portrays Wonka as a little crazy and eccentric with wild hair. If you look at Gene Wilder, he really is a perfect fit compared to the illustrations. The name of the movie was changed to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This was done for two reasons. The first was because the book depicted the Oompa Loompas as black. When they pitched the rights to the movie, the NAACP had a fit telling them that they needed to change the Oompa Loompas to white and that they had to change the name because they didn't want people to go out and buy the book. The second reason was because Quaker Oats just came out with a chocolate bar that they called the Wonka Bar. They sponsored part of the movie so that they could also promote their new candy bar. They wanted the brand name of Wonka, and so they wanted the movie to focus more on Willy Wonka than Charlie to benefit their sales. So there's your little bit of trivia. Now, most of you know that there was also a darker version of the movie that came out in 2005, which starred Johnny Depp. This is a picture of my original book. It was read so many times by myself and my four sisters that the cover is gone, and if you look at the back of the book, it shows how worn it is. We all loved this book and actually had to read it before my parents would take us to see the movie. Now, this is a picture of Roald Dahl. He was inspired by many reasons for writing Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. First was that Cadbury Chocolate Company would bring samples of chocolate to his school in England in trade for the students' opinion of their product. Now, because of this, Roald loved chocolate. That was his favorite thing. One of the funny things is that Cadbury and Rowton Town Chocolate were the leading companies of chocolate distributors in England. Rumor had it that each company would send spies into the competing factory as employees to go and spy and get some of their secrets. Now, does that sound familiar from the movie? While writing the book, there were two tragic events that happened to the writer. First, that his son was involved in a serious car accident and sustained a traumatic head injury. This stopped him from writing the book for about 18 months while he cared for his son. About 2 years after that event, his 9-year-old daughter contracted encephalitis and died. Now, because of these two events, Roald focused his book on children. Some of the characters in the book are Charlie Bucket and then Mr. and Mrs. Bucket, his parents. If you remember from the movie, there wasn't a Mr. Bucket, it was just his mom. Other characters were Grandpa Joe, who he's really close to, and Grandma Josephine, also Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina. The family was so poor, and these four grandparents had to actually sleep in the same bed. The setting took place in a small 2-bedroom home outside of the city. In the city, there was a chocolate factory, and Charlie loved to smell the aroma of chocolate. Now, the story goes that Grandpa Joe would tell stories all the time to Charlie about the chocolate factory. One of the stories that he told was about this Indian prince who hired Wonka to come and build him a chocolate palace. Wonka went and built it and told the prince that he needed to hurry and eat it. The prince didn't want to eat it, he wanted to live in it. One day the sun came up, it was hot, and melted the chocolate palace. There were also stories about strange people who worked in the factory and that no one ever went in and no one ever came out. One day, the newspaper published a story that Wonka was going to be opening up the factory for tours to 5 lucky winners. These were going to be children who bought candy bars and found that there was a golden ticket. The first ticket was found by Augustus Gloop. Next ticket was found by Veruca Salt. About that time, it was Charlie's birthday. He always got a chocolate bar, and he usually would just take a little nibble out of the corner and take a little nibble every day out of it. But this time he ended up opening it all the way up to find if there was a golden ticket. But he was disappointed. There wasn't anything. The next ticket was then found by Violet, and then the fourth ticket by Mike TV. Only one ticket left. Charlie's grandpa actually gave him some money that he had saved to go and buy a candy bar, but that didn't have a golden ticket in it either. Charlie was pretty dejected, and one day he was walking down the street, and he looked down and there was something green. He picked it up, and it was a dollar bill. He immediately took it to the candy store to buy a candy bar to see if he could have a candy bar that had the golden ticket in it. He bought one of the candy bars, opened it up, but no gold ticket. With the remaining money, he usually would take it back and help feed his family. But instead, he decided to buy one more chocolate bar. Guess what? Yep, you guessed it. The golden ticket was in there. He got the last ticket. He ran home, told his family that the factory tour was actually the next day, so he had his Grandpa Joe go. The next morning, all of the winners ended up going into the factory. Now the story goes really quick that the first room that they saw was the chocolate room. Everything was made of chocolate. They saw the Oompa Loompas. Wonka told them that the reason why he had the Oompa Loompas was because he brought them from Africa to save their lives. Augustus Gloop gets into the chocolate river, gets sucked up by the big suckers that go up to the ceiling, and he's out of the picture. Then they go on the boat ride through the chocolate river. They see so many things, so many different inventions. They come up on the bubblegum machine that, of course, Violet loves because she loves bubblegum. She ends up eating one where she wasn't supposed to, and she ends up getting big, blown up, and they have to take her off. The next one, this is going to be different than the movie. It's a nut room, and little squirrels are shelling nuts, hundreds of squirrels shelling nuts. Well, of course, Veruca, she wants to have a squirrel. You can kind of hear her say, "I want it now." But she goes into a little hole to try to get one of the squirrels. The squirrel takes her down along with her mom and her dad. She's out of the picture. The last ones left are Charlie and Mike TV. They take the glass elevator with Wonka and their guests up to the TV room. Well, Mike TV, of course, he loves TV. They find the new invention. Wonka tells them about how it shrinks things. Mike says, "I want to be the first one," because he loves TV. Yep, it shrinks him. The last one left is Charlie. Charlie's the winner. Yay! And Wonka tells him that he gets more than just a lifetime of chocolate. He actually gets the factory because Wonka is getting too old to take care of the Oompa Loompas and too old to keep running the factory forever. So they go up in the glass elevator, up, 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 up through the ceiling. They see the factory below, all of the children. Charlie finds out that they're okay. They get their lifetime of chocolate. They go to Charlie's house to get his family, bring him back to the chocolate factory to live happily ever after. Yay! So this is such a fun idea, fun book, fun movie of modern fantasy. It's a great read for children 8 years or older, and mostly because there are some more difficult words and topics in the book. And as you can see, the illustrations, they're really simple black and white drawings and probably won't really capture the attention and intrigue of younger children. So now that I'm done with my presentation and now that I've read the book again, I think I'm going to go now and pop some popcorn and sit down and watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Anyone want to join me?